The Wii U era was very problematic for Nintendo, and although the console is very special to me, I can recognize its faults. Guys, this will be the best Nintendo console in history. Just wait. The games are coming. It will be a success. It will sell millions and millions and millions. One of the problems with the Wii U that I don't see people bringing up very often is the lack of JRPGs in the console. We have some exclusives like the nice Tokyo Mirage Sessions and the groundbreaking Xenoblade X, but they are exceptions. In general, big companies like Square Enix, Atlus, Bandai Namco were out of the Wii U boat. If you were a Nintendo fan at the time and wanted some JRPGs, your best option was to buy a 3DS and enjoy a nice and diverse library provided by some talented Japanese developers. But then, a wild Switch appeared. A successful console, easy to develop for, and capable of home console graphics while still being portable. Little by little, the Switch is becoming the house of JRPGs, and that's something that makes me really happy. Let's try to understand this process by taking a look at all the JRPGs available on the console. If you want some JRPGs, what's the first company that you're going to give a call to? Of course, it's Square Enix, and Nintendo knows that very well. The thing is, those two companies have a complicated relationship. After a very successful partnership on the NES and the SNES, Nintendo and the company known at the time as Squaresoft parted ways. But now, after so many years, I finally get the feeling that those two are back to a healthy relationship on the Switch. The first thing that symbolizes this is to find all Final Fantasy games from 7 to 12 on the Switch eShop, representing the first time that you could play all of those games on a Nintendo console. And all of them are amazing games. People usually gravitate to Final Fantasy VII because of how famous the game is, but I would like to give a spotlight to Final Fantasy IX. It's a sweet and fantastic game that will hit you right in the feels. Square also has brought other legacy content like Dragon Quest from 1 to 3, the Saga games, Star Ocean, The Last Remnant, and the Mana series. The last one on this list saw a beautiful renaissance recently with a collection, a remake, and a remaster, all available on the Switch. Okay, but enough about old games. Does Square has anything new to offer? Well, although we are still missing some recent big names like Final Fantasy VII Remake and the Kingdom Hearts series, cloud versions don't count, it would be a lie to say that Square is ignoring the Switch. First of all, we received a delayed but fantastic port of Dragon Quest XI, full of new features and smart graphical adaptations. Neo The World's End With You was available day one on the Switch. And of course, we have some exclusives. The beautiful games produced in the 2D HD style, like Octopath Traveler and the 2022 Triangle Strategy, and the continuation of the franchise born on the 3DS, Bravely Default. Now we are talking. With Square on our team, things will be way easier. Now, let's go to the next company.
Nintendo! Woohoo!
Well, obviously. The first thing Nintendo had to do was to bring portable exclusive games to the Switch, and the two JRPGs that immediately come to mind are Pokémon and Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a fantastic game. Intelligent Systems updated the formula from Awakening with many fun elements like exploration, choices that change the story, and a lot of content. It's a must-buy game on the Switch, even if you are not a veteran of the series. Pokémon Sword and Shield, on the other hand, isn't the jump that we expected from the 3DS to the Switch. It's clear that Game Freak is still learning the ins and outs of a more powerful console, and they are struggling a bit to bring new and exciting things for the series. However, Pokémon Legends Arceus is looking a lot better, and I'm hopeful that the game will represent a new moment for the series. Aside from those ones, Nintendo has a more recent but popular JRPG in their catalog, Xenoblade. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was launched on the first year of the Switch and represented a high point for the series, reaching more than 2 million units sold. And more than that, in 2020 we saw the launch of a definitive edition for the very acclaimed first game in the series, which made the Switch library even more richer with great JRPGs. Nintendo also has Miitopia, which is a fun little game, although repetitive. And now with the expansion pack to the Switch Online, players will have access to the wonderful Paper Mario 64. Okay, Nintendo and Square are already enough for me to have a lot of fun with the console, but there are still other big ones missing. Hey Capcom! So, we are launching this new console, and I think it's the perfect machine for JRPGs. What do you say if we try to make a new Breath of Fire?
No.
Why?
We have Monster Hunter.
Oh!
2 of them.
Oh!
Actually 3.
Oh, okay. That will do for the time being. Maybe later we can talk about Breath of Fire again.
No.
At least we have Breath of Fire on the Switch Online service. But yeah, Monster Hunter is here. After the huge success that the series had on the 3DS, it was expected that it would return with a new game on the Switch. Monster Hunter Rise was very well received by new and old fans, selling a lot of copies. I'm not 100% sure if the game is a JRPG, although it has many elements of it. However, Monster Hunter Stories 2 is definitely a JRPG. With sprawling worlds to explore, turn-based combat and a catching mechanic, Monster Hunter Stories 2 is a sequel to the first game on the 3DS. With colorful graphics and beautiful cutscenes, the game is a way more friendly entry to the world of Monster Hunter than the main series. And the good news is that the Switch has more JRPGs with beautiful graphics. Even though it's a 10-year-old game, Ni no Kuni still is beautiful, with a timeless art style provided by none other than the Studio Ghibli. The Switch has the first and the second game in the series. For a long time, all that Nintendo consoles had from the franchise was a DS version of the first game exclusively to Japan. Although those games are not perfect, they are very charming experience with a good amount of new ideas. Many of them applied to the combat system. Bandai Namco also ported to the Switch the acclaimed Tales of Vesperia. Sadly, so far it's the only game from the series to arrive on the Switch, with the recent Tales of Arise skipping the console. Maybe it's because the game is graphically demanding, but sometimes I really don't get how some franchises aren't on Switch yet. Why can't we have a single game from the Persona series? For a reason that we don't know yet, the only Persona game we have on Switch is Persona 5 Strikers, which is more of a Musou hack and slash than an RPG. However, we have the series that created all those crazy demons and interesting gameplay mechanics, Shin Megami Tensei. We are only some days away from the launch of Shin Megami Tensei 5, and that's very exciting. It's the first HD game in the series, aside from the recent remaster of the third one, and I think it will be a great opportunity to raise the popularity of the franchise. But you know something very important for a JRPG? Anime. That's right, we need some classic tropes, we need an expressive art style, and of course, we need an unreasonable amount of fan service. I'm not putting all of those companies together because they are worthless or something like that. It's simply that there are too many of them. Almost all of the games I've shown so far have some elements of anime, but I feel that these companies in particular are deeper into the Japanese culture. A lot of long-running franchises are from these developers, like Ys, The Legend of Heroes, Disgaea, and the Atelier series, and they are all finding a new home on the Switch. A good amount of them used to be PlayStation exclusives in recent memory. The Switch seems to be taking the spot that the PSP and the PS Vita used to occupy in Japan. Maybe I'm wrong, but I also get the feeling that the Switch is helping those franchises and getting more visibility in the US. Nintendo seems to be pushing a lot of them in recent directs. Of course, these are very niche games. I'm not saying that they are going to blow away in sales on this side of the world, but they are definitely expanding their public. I highly recommend some of these series, even though not all of them have a high budget. It's impressive to see the efforts of these developers to tell a good story and create great gameplay mechanics. I think I made my point. The Switch has a lot of JRPGs. What about you? What do you think about JRPGs? Do you think Switch has enough? Do you think it needs more? Or do you hate JRPGs? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!